Hello, Music Multiverse listeners. Welcome to episode 1 of 2026. That's right. Happy New Year to you and your family and your bunch of ear listening album junkies like us, all 12 of you. Joining me for this kickoff in our review, and it's our partner, Deb Armitage, Hicks Maloney. And when we've got these 3 albums to discuss. They're on the website at beyondyourradio.com, where you can utilize the links to go exploring in any way, which form you want. The writing there is okay. It'll get better. But go and if you're new to the channel, hey, there's 2 years worth of that you can go back on. I promise I don't write for AI. I write for real, from the ear, the heart, and always from an unusual angle, hoping to achieve nirvana. No, not a suicide pact or a career with the Foo Fighters, just nirvana. Although through my aging bones, my heart, soul, whatever. But we all know I'm not all that and a crate of albums. We need another opinion. That's right. So that's why Tam is here. She's gotta add that perspective, those little tidbits, or yell at me for making her listen to something that bad. So
Maybe not this week, though.
No. This week were surprisingly had motions and stuff to him that were unexpected. While this episode 1 of the year 2026 is not 2026, we're kind of floating in the music multiverse limbo hangover between years. Much so this year because of more than the prior year because of how New Year's fell. So there's not a lot of new material, although there were albums that released on January 2nd, but how would we review them in one day? If we realize that which we have not experienced either by time or pure out refusal, this is why we do these kind of things. You go back into the past and take a look at 2025 still if you can. If we didn't, there'd be no time to get to them. So that there is that's another of our issues at Beyond Your Radio. We never had the time, right? We're certainly not popular enough to get early release files or copies from the record labels, if there are any record labels left in this world that are truly that way. But there are some in the YouTube that get them ahead of time. Lucky them, but they've been around a while. So on this album review, Saturday 2026, episode 1, it's the new year. We take a step into a neoclassical electronica approach given off by a very interesting catalog review worthy band, let me tell you, out of Norway that has managed themselves through this. They said it's their 14th album. I must have miscounted. I thought it was 15. 30 years of musical creativity. And then we go to a guitarist and composer leaving his mark on the jazz, rock, and funk world, and he doesn't care who he's jamming with, writing for, or if his one band is the greatest performing live band in the jazz world right now. Then we finish off with a European frontman gone solo for the first time, technically bringing the truth of the darkness and the light. So shall we kick off 2026 with a few album reviews from 2025? Well, it's because we have to. There's only one release that I could have probably put on here in 2026. So I think we have to. We're committed. We've gone this far. So we're going to start off with Ulver, Neverland. What a beautiful cover. In the electronica world, the genre, let's call it, or the electronic, which is the vast header, the genus of the species, maybe, I don't know, the top of the crop, it starts there and then it branches incredibly into the stratosphere. The scene, which probably started with Tangerine Dream's progressive electronic influences back in the 70s and got into the more obvious Kraftwerks of the 1980s for the purity of the electronic musicianship and its nature towards synth and computerized infrastructure. For lack of a full-on discussion of data and information, date and timelines, and doing a 60 Minutes kind of thing, let's just say that's how it happened. There's a merger of sorts of that sound through computer affected musicianship into the club scene of the United Kingdom. Yeah, this didn't start in the U.S. Didn't. And then by the early 1990s, we got the development and expanded horizon of electronic, computer, and club dance electronica and ambient. So, sure, the usual suspects in nonverbal communication through musical sound was conjured, rewired, and manipulated by such bands as Aphex Twin, which started in the early 90s, as well as Portishead, Underworld, and Massive Attack. So this is where we are in this timeline of this particular band. But this was band that started being more influenced by classical music and the introverted mood and muse of the ethereal areas of death metal. Yeah, their first album is categorized as death metal.
I saw that.
What? Yeah, fast forward to Neverland, now 30 years removed from that stamped metal genre tagged account. And you're going to get a realization of just how time, the entry of permanent bandmates have made this one of the most, I don't know, one of those most unusual instrumental electronic secrets. This is an absolutely beautiful, magnified, and created musical landscape that feels like some sort of spirit trapped between what is a scene, the tension or emotion hovering around it and through it, at least for me anyway. Perhaps it's the flow of the life from a variety of perspectives, some human, some whale or animal is present. The sound feels like you're on some scenic train ride that is half Epcot Center and half Snowpiercer, if you know the movie or
Mhm.
the television series. Although I'm not saying it's a bleak landscape of snow and ice, I'm just saying it's got that feel to it of post-apocalyptic or approaching said things. Although there's pretty things too, right?
Mhm.
There's a certain dread, but there's a certain heartbeat in the modality and the potential for understanding or of understanding maybe, and love in the classical spine of it all. Because that's where it rests. This whole thing, the mind's ear. It's all in the mind. In the mind's ear. Yeah, I like that. The favorite places to be. And Ulver might actually just be placing me there due to their musicianship, their contemplative composition, and the ongoing electronic commitment and diversity. Yet somehow hinged like those cars on the train.
Mhm.
This is a generous scoring, instrumental computer worldscape, allowing you to view from all safe confines of the audio experience. I don't feel like I'm being attacked here. I feel like it's never getting, it's not hitting me any. I'm not taking a strike from the birds, but we get there. No one will hear this and see it the same way. There's no question, but they will come to feel the power and the beauty of it and the dark trail it might be kind of leaving behind. How you react to it, what you do while you're consciously or subconsciously surrendering to the musical aspects, artful composition, and the electronic mastering is completely up to your soul, your heart, and your mind. But it's all happening through your ears. Damn.
You sure love these bands from Norway
Yes, I
and
didn't even know they were from Norway until
the
I.
Scandinavian countries. Every time I see an album cover or a name of a band, and then I start to see the bandmates' names, I go, oh, we're back in his favorite part of the dark, gloomy world. Um, the name Ulver is actually, it means wolves. And these countries sure like wolves too. Cold places love wolves. Um, they name themselves Ulver because they know that wolves like to roam, and they were hoping that their music would do the same throughout their learning experiences and career. And for that, I can say I'm glad it's not 30 years ago because I don't like death metal, but I liked Ulver Neverland this week. I did. You mentioned scoring and things like that. My notes here say it sounds like a potential soundtrack to something. Um, Like they could definitely score a movie or a series. You said Snowpiercer, that kind of thing. Maybe they have, I don't know.
That's my knowledge.
Okay. Um, they're describing this album as ambient and progressive electronic, but it's not overly done. Like sometimes ambient is boring to me.
Mhm.
It's like, let's move along here. I get that you want to take a nap, but I don't want to nap through all 45 minutes or whatever. I don't even know how long this album was. I didn't make a note.
Yeah,
It-
it's not. I want to say it's 46, 48.
yeah, it's not overly long for the type of band that they are.
41.
Okay, well, that was a pleasant surprise as well. Um, as far as their musical influences, can't pronounce them, never heard of any of them, so we're going to move along from there. I'm sure it's all the other people that Mark has reviewed in the past that I
I
go,
want to say one of their influences was actually mentioned when we were with Sidulu.
mm, okay, well, that would make sense too, right? Now, as far as the album itself and what stood out to me, there were a couple tracks that I really liked. First of all, I got excited when I saw Welcome to the Jungle on there, but it ain't no GNR.
No, it is
Uh,
not.
no, it's very sultry. It's kind of fun that it's a title to a song that you have a preconceived notion about, and then it totally flips it on its ear. So that's a good one. And the one that I thought was really groovy, it like which was so weird because you don't expect groovy when you're talking about ambient.
Uh,
Um, but maybe it depends. Like I think of more spacey, but Hark Hark the Dogs Go Bark. I
hmm.
love that song.
Yeah.
So, I had a tough couple weeks here being not feeling great. So I'm glad we only had, a certain number of albums to do and ones that were worth my ear this week, even though one's totally plugged up.
Yeah, we're just we're listening to Phlegm by
Oh my God,
what?
all the names of bands that were coming out of my body that could be somebody I wouldn't want to review. Endless.
Uh, there are boundless areas where I could showcase my position on this album, but none is better impressive and deeply different than They're Coming, the Birds. It was like this YouTube bass line and the splattering of Spitfire wings. I was imagining these birds not to be pigeons, but to be more like snipes,
Yes.
right? And when I say snipe, I get this. This gets to be a skinny puppy meets massive attack kind of proposition. And then the orchestra, the synth, the chugging train
Yeah.
continues on. It feels wonderful. It's frightening in moments, somehow organic on a scale that maybe we've not heard in a very long time. Wherever, as I tried to kind of go back in the albums over the years and go, where is this, right? In what I've heard before, and I don't think so. I was trying to think New Deal. No, that's a little bit more jazz oriented. Most of the
Mhm.
stuff goes too ambient or goes too scenic or what soundscape-ish, right? So
Mhm.
this so I know this is December 31st, 2025 when this is released, right? When Ulver released Neverland, it might still come to make a greater impression as it moves forward in my replaying. I've listened to this now like six times. Like Hark Hark the Dogs Do Bark. It's syncopatic rhythm and a Depeche Mode
Yes.
thick tint to it. Chatterings that might be a warped flute. With a warning amidst the electronic pressure building. Ooh, I don't know. Sort of like that train top blowing. Yeah, I'm making all this shit up. Neverland is a scorcher. It's grander than I would have expected, but I've not harkened back to the Norwegian Ulver catalog. But I have an audio feeling in my gut that I'm going to be there this year. Um, this is more than a feeling of music. This is extremely smart. It's deep. It's perpetually ear catching, which is hard in this genre sometimes. It's
Mhm.
perpetual, but you're like, yeah, I heard
Let's
that.
move
Yeah, I
along.
heard
Yep.
that. Yeah, I heard that. This
Exactly.
audio is too. Um, all the electric genre, what Avatar is to science fiction movie making, impressive, breathtaking, undeniable in its accomplishment within what we thought we might be listening to, or the confines of what it said it is. Electronic. Ha ha ha. They the Wolves have spoken. At the bitter end of 2025 brings one of the best albums in the genre and of the year. But unfortunately, if you want to be considered for best album of the year, don't release it at the end of the year, the last day. I would say their names, but they're all just fabulously Norwegian.
Yes.
All right, so we go from fabulously Norwegian to fabulously jazz guitaring. This is the Mark Letary Group meets the WDR Big Band at Studio 4. Boy, could you just they just say, okay, this. No imagination left, right? This is one of those musicians that, on the grand scale of what's going on with him and the fusion multiverse that there is, should be one of those that more people should be paying very close attention to. Mark Letary is a household name in the jazz fusion conversation and community. The guitarist of Snarky Puppy, yes, one of the world's best live jazz bands for sure, is on a terror in composition style and completely cool, interesting, and accessible jazz, rock, jazz fusion, jazz soul, jazz, however he wants, whatever he wants.
Mhm.
On this particular side project, well, if you will, side project, Mark is taking the guitar, his guitar, into a very familiar, catchy groove and funk-filled position, but he doesn't leave it there. No, no, no. He elevates the music in the common ear of it and turns the whole thing on a dime. Kind of making for one hell of a jazz funk fusion recording that will have you, get your leg bouncing, your air musical guitaring or drumming or horning, whatever, whatever you can come up with in your air, just dancing to, no matter if you're driving, sitting, or working out, or actually dancing, which most of us don't do anymore, I guess. Welcome to a guitarist, songwriter, and fantastically fit composer meeting for a chance and a prance with the WDR Big Band. Well, who the hell are they? Well, they're a longer staple in the community than Mr. Letary is.
Okay.
Been around for a long, long time. The WDR Big Band kind of started in 1956.
Really?
Yes, World War II, dooey dooey. Once it was separated from the Norwestdeutsche Rundfunk, yeah, not a German version of the Grand Funk Railroad, people, because the orchestra WDR went to Cologne. All right, and I'm not talking about the perfume. God, this shit sucks. While the scene raged on and the music scene changed, orchestra, no band maintained this, they kind of, I don't know. They did their thing in a big band sense till about 1972 under some sort of contract. And while that scene raged on, you had some different individuals come in and out who were kind of overseeing this band. But in 1972, they thought it was all falling apart. But a ray of light in 1980, which might have included some of that prior separation returning back. That was talking then. Norfin, Dustin, something Haber. Kurt, I think it was Ettenhanger, kind of came back a little bit toward that. And I think somebody was jealous of what the other person was doing when they separated. All
Okay.
right. And in 72, when they knew it was over, he came back and somebody got attached, which might have included these people getting a little bit more attuned to the more present of the time. So that all of a sudden gets them Bill Evans, Billy Cobham, These are legendary performers to play with them. And by 2016, you got Bob Minzer engaged as chief conductor and Vince Mendoza in on this. You know who Vince Mendoza is? Well, I don't know. He's just a piss on, right? There's nobody anybody knows. He worked with Joni Mitchell, Bjork, John Schofield. So this guy's talented, knows how to change this composition and make them international. And that's really what transpires between that 90 to 2016 and beyond. So the sound, the recordings, and the detail rose to a level that they might have been one of the greatest big bands at the time. And that's where this meets Mr. Snarky Puppy in a release that also December 29th of 2025. You know,
Hmm.
this is this isn't in your usual wheelhouse, damn. So where are you on this?
Okay. Well, no, it's not in my usual wheelhouse, but I would say that if you listen to this album and you're trying to figure out exactly where all of these different sounds and uses of instruments and all that comes from, Mark has a wide range of musical tastes. So, and when you go from a Prince to George Clinton, that makes sense, right? But to Eddie Van Halen and Jimi Hendrix, but then to Zappa and Beck, you know, that perks my interest a little bit too and makes listening again and again a little bit more interesting for me as far as trying to pick certain things out. Um, this, I think, with the WDR group, that helped mm, the whole sound for me. So it wasn't my normal anxiety producing jazz. So the big band influx into there was really a nice combination of orchestral arrangements and textures and things that weren't just your normal. If I have to listen to another clarinet go all over the whole scale and 15 different octaves as fast as it possibly can go, I'm going to check out. That's not how this was. Even the horns, the horns sometimes can feel like when you're introducing them into something that's a contemporary piece and you hear it and you start to go, oh, are they trying to do the copycat cliche Earth, Wind, and Fire? And there's a little bit of it there, but it's not. It's hard to explain until you listen to it, right? Um, Mark himself, I think he's probably a really cool dad because he lets his daughter pick out his nail polish color because he want to be able to see his nails when he's playing that guitar. He went to Texas Christian University and he was a long jumper. Now, I don't know how tall he is. I was going to look that up, but I'm 5'1" and I was a long jumper in high school on a boys team. So he doesn't have to be that tall. He just has to have the vision, and he does. So, on this particular album, I gravitated towards I liked Title Tale, but my favorite one was a real funky one, Slide Rule.
Oh, okay.
That was cool for me. I don't know if it was because it had a little bit of reminiscent when I was forced to be in jazz band, but maybe me going, jazz band. If we were Steely Dan, that would have been cool, but we weren't. Or so it was a fun album. Fun
Mm.
album. I think for he's only like 40 years old or something, right? 40 or 41 from San Francisco. He's got a long career in front of him because he's picked a genre that if you can figure out how to make it interesting to even somebody like me, got potential.
Yeah. So I'm in the car,
Yeah.
listening to it for I think it was the second time around, picking up Helena from work, and then drove back home, and I gave it to Sue, and I said, "Let me know if you hear it. Let me know if you hear
Okay.
it." And it plays, and she goes, "Yep, I hear it." Now we'll get there in a second.
Okay.
The areas of genre fusion kind of blending into the big band, right? A sound range from the rock-laden Starcatcher song that has this Joe Bonamassa edge to it, right? So we're talking blues, but hard rock blues,
Mm-hmm.
and there's the bluesy soulfulness and timing of Seuss Pants, which I believe is Dr.
Yeah,
Seuss in
I
its
had
way.
that on here too.
Yeah,
Seuss
to
pants.
drive
Yes.
another era of that jazz band's expression. When I say
Mhm.
jazz, it's big band. Okay, that's what we're referring to here. And the big band here, this time, is a little less front and center, so it kind of slips forward and back and gentle, and then old big band where it's they were oh yeah, Dizzy
Yeah.
Gillespie right on track, right? So um, the guide, the composition of those entanglements are a true listening pleasure from start to finish. There's no question how it's layered. This is accessible um, blues, jazz fusion that speaks funk and rock and how to keep the elasticity of eras and the sounds of them. And the musician solos in a fabulously big audio space. No question here. So even though this is the latest release possible in 2025, this is one to mark for your listening experience and pleasure as you moved forward in 2025. Do I wish it was or into 2026? Do I wish it was released the first? That'd be great because it'd be in contention easily. If Uptown Funk won't give it to you, all right, and it's
Yeah.
played out, hit up Mark Letary and the big band of his friends from Germany at Studio 4. They'll give it to you. Yeah, the first song.
Yep.
It's in the background.
Is it?
You can hear.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
There was a lot going on in that album that I go, oh, well,
And even the second song has one in it too that I couldn't place, but I didn't let Sue listen to see what the placement was. But
got it.
all right, so we go electronica, dark, ethereal craziness to jazz, big band, and now we're going to strip it down with Tom Smith. There's nothing in the dark that isn't there in the light. The editors are a big deal in the UK for
Mm-hmm.
maybe what appears to be over 20 years. Tom Smith has been there making those monuments or moments that are made that kind of made them a musical who's who and the remains of the untainted by the evil pursuits of usual idiots surrounding them. They are a band that seems to be grounded. They make great music. They keep to themselves. They seem unassuming, unabashedly tied to the roots of reality, both in songwriting, delivery, and the existence as just musicians, not considering themselves to be a higher end or a higher calling, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
However, they've really never left that kind of impression across the music multiverse, especially in the United States. But they have a great recording style, a very tight fan base that adores what they do, and I can kind of understand why in that connection and the like instrumental chops to find a way to grease the system of their influences of Joy Division, REM, and others in that. Like, and of course, one of theirs is one of my favorites, and that's Elbow. So now Tom Smith takes the stage alone, coming to us via There's Nothing in the Dark That Isn't in There in the Light, to potentially show another side of himself musically that he couldn't share with his editors. You like how I did that, right? No, nobody
Yeah.
does. The first thing we immediately recognize is the stripped acoustical make and model and the ballad landscape that is Deep Dive, the leadoff track. And while the expression of the acoustic music and the lyrics match, Tom's editor voice, for me, something is missing. I'm not saying it's the editors, the band he's with. He's really not with any band. He's with the producer and himself. Although there's got to be people coming in and out, I would think. It's all truthful. It's all lovely. It's very well produced. It feels like an extravagant album produced to be very emotional, to be deep, to be lovingly made in heartfelt position. Life is for the Living is the track. It's the prime example of the melody and the music and that wonderfully delivered vocal. So why is it not making the exuberant connection beyond my ears' acceptance of the loveliness and the way it's well done and presented? It kind of remains a mystery to some degree. It should work. It's it's going to work on a lot of musical multiverse listeners for sure. But for me, I became a some sort of an agnostic in this, a difficult
Hmm.
album to place in my need to listen to again. And I wanted to say it was about broken time when I started feeling that and thinking this way, but I'll let Dan continue.
Well, I'm very partial to a baritone, and so his
Ah,
voice, yes, I am. And he started to kind of experiment with some falsetto. You could hear that throughout some of the songs, which was nice. It kind of gave a different feel to some of the songs. And you had mentioned, REM. He's a super fan of REM, and Murmur specifically, he notes as being a huge influence in his love for music, his songwriting, that kind of thing. Echo and the Bunnymen, of course, because they're from the UK, and I just love the name of that band. I just love it. Um, and
can't blame you there.
Springsteen.
Yeah,
um,
Springsteen is where this lays to some
Yeah,
degree.
yeah, and Springsteen is one of those guys too. Some of his albums, you kind of go, yeah, this all should work, but it lost me, kind of thing. I'm not a super fan of Springsteen either, but there are certain songs that are, you know, ingrained in my psyche from till the end of time, but nothing where I go, I have to listen to that Springsteen album, right? So maybe that's where this is for you. Um, and he's a fan of the Arsenal Football Club. Like, can you be any more English than that? So we'll give him that. He's living true to his upbringing. But you kind of mentioned the same songs as what I have
Oh,
yeah, Deep Dive. I thought, is that the first song, Deep
it
Dive?
is. Hmm.
It is. And I think I've heard it on the radio
Oh,
actually.
and that's
I think,
possible. I wouldn't be
yeah.
surprised.
Um, it's a song, it's the kind of song that I do gravitate to, especially with his baritone voice. I loved that. Like you mentioned, Life is for Living. There was a little Celtic feel in that.
Mm.
Um, and also we were talking about on the last album of things you could hear in a song, but you couldn't quite put your finger on it. So I need to ask you, did you hear something familiar in the song Leave? That was almost like it was going to break into something else that we've known.
Well, I'm
What?
gonna get there.
Okay, well, there's
So
where I'm
you
going to
were,
end
yeah,
it.
maybe, but I don't know if you know. I don't know. It'll be interesting when I
Okay,
put this out there what you think and if you know,
okay,
because you may not
okay,
know. But
okay.
this is one of UK's bigger bands that does that falls way above them.
Mm,
So I think
okay.
it was a play on it. Maybe I'm not sure.
Okay, well then I'll let you take it from there. Good
Oh,
album.
okay. I
I
didn't
mean,
want
yeah,
to.
I'm not gonna, it wouldn't be album of the year, so it doesn't really matter if it was, released any earlier than it was, but it's still worth a listen. I mean, there's nothing controversial in it.
No, there isn't. It's again, it's well done. It's beautifully done. It's a very beautiful record. So here's my stab at this.
Okay.
While the magical horn of lights of the New York City keeps playing in my ear.
And oh, it's such a pity we can't meet again when we were young. It's right there in your hand, and then it's gone. I wanna run those hotel corridors again.
I'm smitten with it. And that's where it starts and it seems to end. The musicality of the song and the lyrics are brilliantly presented and feed each other in a loyal, loving, scenic fashion and feeling. Um, Tom Smith's voice is a delicate balance between near Sinatra meets indie Baroque pop in a classical sense, of
Mm,
course, because it's acoustic. Tom Smith
yes.
himself, I think I'm loving the instrumental arena, but I'm catching the descriptively clever lyrics There's a lot of that in it. Some of the lyrics are really, really well done.
Mm-hmm.
I would see if they were on paper, they would read beautifully too.
Mm-hmm.
Read beautifully. But I'm losing the connection to it, to the wonderful vocals, is my thinking. It's too perfect. It's too good.
Mm.
It has no. Does this seem possible? It can happen. I guarantee it. Hell, I'd love to actually do a show on this, but I might be too deep for the panel. That somehow the delivery vessel is the problem,
Okay.
right? I have this problem with Serge Tank of System of a Down when he has his own solo records. I'm like,
Really?
he could sing about me being the greatest person on earth, and I would tune out. Just something about it. So the lost soul in you needs the lost soul in me, and is the lyrical line he uses. And I'm starting to parlay that to the fact that I don't need the lost soul, except maybe in certain places. I'm not as lost as you are, baby. His voice is so opera, divine, that it seems that it might just be singing to hit the right notes and not hit the spot of raw emotion. Maybe. Some of you are going to love this album and cry and think I'm crazy out of my head.
But it's interesting you say that, especially if he's such a fan of REM. Like it seems
Yeah,
like
just
that
his
would
name's
be,
voice
yes, I
cracks and he
agree.
can't hit notes. And
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And actually, Michael Stipe's voice got better over time, in the delivery mode of it. I can't stand Murmur, to be honest with you, that
No,
much.
me
I'm
neither.
not a
It's
big
not on my
fan.
top. No.
Kind of simplistic. I'm not saying that this album is too perfect, okay? What I'm saying is it's the depth of making this perfect in sound and emotional recording that stripped actually came out of the music's ability to make the very connection to that same degree. But by God, when I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, they trying to be Snow Patrol?
Oh,
That's who I heard.
oh,
I hear the
yes.
Bruce Springsteen-ish, laid back, letter of the days or letters, whatever. The when he pulls back and says, "I just want to do an acoustic album with me," and just that's what I got here. I thought, geez, there's a little bit of Snow Patrol, and
Yep, I know Snow Patrol.
Snow
Yep.
Patrol is up here, man. Just there's some albums there, but that lyrical cleverness and all that, and how the melodies came. But his vocal, Tom Smith is probably the better vocalist, maybe. But in this album, Tom's vocal might be too good. Too good. He's too good. All right, he's too good.
Yep, I got you.
Hey, Tom, we're gonna need you to make a few mistakes. Could you screech a bit? Maybe drop the baritone and get weaselly, nasal. Come on, nasal decongestion. You need something there.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, of course. It is a good album. I think a lot of you will love it.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that it was the way it is. But the editors are a very good group too. If you don't know them, check them out. Marty Stewart and his fabulous superlatives.
Marty.
Yes, start the year off with an and, baby. And not your typical and, And he's got possession of these guys. They're people. They're not going anywhere. Space Junk. Okay, we're going to get back to that at the end. This is that album of surf rock meets a blend of Ennio Morricone with Quentin Tarantino at the helm, and in between, Long Time Gone and Dusty Trails Too Far Away. No, there's that, but there's the atmosphere and instrumental attention to detail that's more than that. It's evident, and the ability to turn from a cinematic point to an electrified position that has nothing to do with cinescape or soundscape. Going to a wind 'em up raw Haydn breaker like Catalina, that makes for this fun, exciting, and intentionally wicked in its listen. Drums are hardly a large expression in this kind of Midwestern pluckery and electronica, but it is electronified. We'll say not electronica, unless you're moving to a Del Shannon Runaway like event on Over the Moon. Okay, Dale Shannon, A Case Runaway, Crime Story. If you need a little background there, that's where you'll find that song. There's even sentimentality, which is great, with a soul timing in here. Marty Stewart is a pretty unique singer-songwriter. Well, this is not your bluegrass by any stretch.
Oh, no.
No, and if you're following us from this side of the continents, right? That was a Blues Brothers reference, but hell with you. Geneva Smith Opera House, February 12th. He and the band will be there.
Oh,
So,
okay.
as for Space Junk, I'm not sure I follow the title, unless this was somehow deconstructed from the video game Fallout. Damn.
Well, he has an interesting life, at least, you
Oh, I'm
know.
hoping you got all that. Okay, good.
Well, he dropped out of school when he was 12. He's a child prodigy and decided, I'm just going to make music. And where were his parents? God, I don't know. It's crazy to me. I want my kid to
Oh,
be.
little Marty wants to drop out of school at 12. Well, I'm a reckon he's a real. Wait, where was he born? I'm making up that accent. Maybe that's not even true. It's got to be in
But
that arena where that individual he falls in love with is. But anyway, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So he toured with Johnny Cash for 6 years, and then he married his daughter, Johnny's daughter, Cindy Cash. Now that's pretty cool, right? He is
Cindy Lou
a
who? Cindy Lou Cash. What? No.
um, he is a huge collector of memorabilia of all kinds, but a couple things that I saw that I thought were interesting on his list of possessions is Patsy Cline's makeup kit.
Okie
That's
dokie.
interesting. And Johnny Cash's first black stage suit. That's
Okay.
kind of cool. That's really cool. I'm a little confused at times with this because he was born in Mississippi, right? Where
Okay.
were they surfing in Mississippi?
No, I don't think they were. But that guitar guy who should be in the Hall of Fame is probably one of the reasons why that comes to pass. You know.
Oh, okay. So he plays a 54 Fender Telecaster named Clarence that
Oh,
belonged to Clarence White of the Byrds.
birds.
That's kind of a cool thing too. Um, this album itself, it was too many songs for me, and it was too much of the same because of the number of songs. If he had cut some of the songs out and kept the ones that were little varied from each other, it probably would have been better for me. Um, I liked one that had a Johnny Cash feel was Slip Note Serenade. I liked that song. Jammy was Coastline. Till
Yes,
We
most of them.
Meet Again reminded me of a Plant and Krause collaboration for some reason. I kind of felt like Robert Plant was going to jump in and sing me a few notes. That would have been a great surprise. But you mentioned drums, and I really liked the title song with the drums, and it had a spaghetti western feel to it. Kind of moved away from the surf a little bit for
Yeah. Oh
me.
yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it was an interesting album, but like I said, it was a little too much of the same for me. And maybe it was the tempo of it. It just seemed like it was the same tempo a lot of times. There were
Like the
only,
riding of a horse tempo.
yeah, yeah. So that's where I was,
Not a spaceship going through time.
no, no,
Space.
Space
I'm
Junk.
still trying to figure that one out. Sorry.
Okay, I won't.
Yeah, can't. I
I
was hoping
can't.
somebody could, but I have
No.
friends. My friends aren't in high places. Um. So we'll move now to Boy and Bear, tripping over time. Never heard of Boy and Bear.
Really?
Nope, never heard of him. Now, this one caught me a little off guard. I started out thinking, wow, okay, jangle me here and jangle me there, and oh, boy, put some synth in there. Boy, aren't you trying to just hit on every lovely thing that's 80s, 90s? Um, but I like the delivery, but I wasn't really loving the entire start of it at first, but I started to hear something in that vocal, some sort of connection that started to really click. It was part that when ancestors and then moving into thunder.
I'll keep wading my way through water, taking every step towards her. I know it seems far, but it ain't.
that got me thinking profoundly about this band. And
Okay.
another link to the same band, Snow Patrol.
Oh my God.
Synth, prog, pop, and picking. Picking too? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
in there in Lost Control. This is a really good record, easily
Hmm.
accessible for 80s lovers, Snow Patrol worshipers, indie rock
Hmm.
bands that got a different pattern and sound that might even be like the My Morning Jacket of Australia. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I know people were all Panda Bear for last year. They had touted that as one of the top albums of 2025. But I'm more Boy and Bear than Panda Bear because what has a panda ever done for you? Damn.
Um, I thought this was funny because I'm always interested in where they get their band name from, right? And many of them, Tom Smith, well, that's the name. Mark Lettieri, that's his name. Marty Stewart, that's his name. So they regretfully used a band name generator
Oh.
because they were going to be in some contest and they needed a name. And so, as many of us regret some tattoos we've gotten in our life, I guess they regret their band name, but they got known for it, even though we don't know them. Um, it's interesting. They're again another band that has a wide range of influences. You're going to hear a little bit of it on this album, I think. America, Crosby, Stills, Nash, the band, but then you got Beck and Radiohead too. So I
Yeah,
like
there's the
when
color
you
coming in.
yeah, I really like when people just aren't pigeonholed in there, even if they're great musicians and the only thing they really like is this one kind of sound. It doesn't really work for me. Um, Tripping Over Time, that was a good name of the title track, because it was a very mild psychedelia, I thought, in that song. It wasn't overpowering, it was easy to listen to. Um, Vertigo is a little bit more like bouncy or springy. But the ones that I liked, you mentioned Ancestors, Sleep Talking. It's like a folk background, a little bit more acoustic, a little bit more to the America and those influences, I would think. But Lost Control, you mentioned that one. That made me think of Tom Petty, and I don't know if it was because I was just watching the Tom Petty documentary, but that again, that folk feeling, that Americana feeling. Um, Even though aren't they from Australia?
Yeah, they are from us. They are from Australia. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, well they got the Outback, and we've got the Outback restaurant.
Yeah.
So I thought it was pleasant. Like all the albums this week they were easy for me to listen to. Um, um, but again, that wouldn't have been an album of the year for me either.
Yeah. Tough call when they get to this point at the end and this like I said, this limbo we're in. What did you think of these fine five records? Let us know how unfair it was that these late bloomers in 2025 released, and they could probably fall on a little bit of the deaf ears kind of thing. I'll thank Dan for doing this and finally, getting over her illness to enough to show up on. No, that's Saturday support. We're both hoping this 2026 brings you and yours the happiness, the health, and all the music you can handle and more. We will see you next week as we still have to hang out in 2025 for a bit, though I believe one of the records might be 2026, depending.
Okay.
But we promise that we will bring you a triangulation and tickles. What? We're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now, yeah, TikTok as of yesterday, and YouTube, of course. Articles, videos, and podcasts, all about music, albums, bands, artists, anything we can get our hands on. Go Beyond Your Radio with us, a real music appreciation channel. I'll see you tomorrow for Unknown Sundays. It's 2026 kickoff. Thanks for watching and happy listening.